In this session, we'll be covering dSeries in the cloud, and we have two speakers today to take us through that subject.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. On the agenda, we'll be covering several different topics that are all related to companies transitioning to the cloud and how an enterprise workload automation solution like ESP dSeries can make this transition as well. Moving to the cloud can mean different things to different companies. So we've pulled together some of the most common topics that represent what customers are frequently asking about. We'll start with what I'll refer to as, the implementation and architectural issues, including various challenges, some success stories for those that have already made the move, and we'll review a few of the best practices and recommendations. We will then move from the implementation and architectural side over to the topic of day-to-day management of cloud-native workloads. And we'll talk about why it's so important to have an enterprise solution and how easily you can extend the capabilities of dSeries to these new cloud-native applications. Kiran will then do a quick demo for us, and we will wrap up with Q&A. So what's driving customers? There are likely multiple reasons why your company has made the decision to start transitioning some or all of your data center environment to the cloud. Now, some of these are business advantages and others are more of a technical nature. One of the big drivers is the desire for companies to move away from the business of managing data centers, with the idea that using the cloud will be much cheaper, hence, providing a significant cost savings. Another driver is that the need for additional computing power has increased dramatically due to, the ever-increasing collection of data and the adoption of sophisticated data analytics and artificial intelligence. Companies need the ability to more easily scale in order to meet these demands. Other benefits include more flexibility and increased efficiency. Many customers feel that they can gain a competitive edge by focusing on innovation and new development rather than focusing on the day-to-day challenges of managing the data center. And the cloud allows you, to take advantage of things like containerization, to assist with improved scalability, maintenance, and performance. In many cases, moving applications to the cloud can make things like, technical currency, scalability, backups, and disaster recovery, someone else's problem to take care of for you. So I would now like to turn it over to Kiran, and he is going to take us through the next couple of topics.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. So today I'm going to talk about what are the common challenges that customers face when they do the cloud transformation. So over the last couple of years, we have been working with a few of our customers who have successfully moved all their workload and all their infrastructure towards cloud without any issues. So we have collected the challenges that they generally face, and I'm going to talk about the challenges, and also in the subsequent slides, I'm also going to talk about the solutions that they have used and how they have overcome the challenges and things like that. So one of the first things is whether they come up with queries around whether the disaster recovery is supported by dSeries and if high availability is supported and things like that. So as you know that we already have a documented procedure on the disaster recovery. So all these things come into picture if one of the node is down, and they always want the server to be always up and running. So same is the case with the high availability. So even if one of the environment is down, they want to make sure that the other environment or the other server is picking up the workload and it is working without any issues. So the second type of challenges are on the new technologies, like whenever our customers start to explore the cloud vendor, so they find a lot of new tools there. For example, the AWS Lambda, the BigQuery, the Kubernetes, the containers. So they also want to know if dSeries supports any of these things. So we will discuss about it in detail in the upcoming slides. So we have come up with a concept called plugin extensions, which would provide very good integration with all these latest cloud technologies, whether you are in AWS, Azure, IBM, or GCP. So we have a way to integrate the latest plugins. And another important thing is, as you all know, that cloud, there are certain things that they always want to make sure the OS level or the security level, the patches are always up to date. So because of this reason, there could be a downtime for these servers in the cloud. So they want to understand and the other things is like integrations with some of the on-prem apps like the server or Active Directory, the LDAP servers. And so, as I said previously, right, there is nothing changed from the on-premise to the cloud, just that you have to make sure the connectivity between the servers and the agent should be proper. And once we have this connectivity and communication working properly, you will not be seeing any issues. And the next big frequently asked question is about the firewalls, the networking. So what are the ports that dSeries uses, and what are the inbound and outbound ports? So that details also I'll cover in the upcoming slides. Okay, let's talk about the one of the important challenges that customers face, the dehydration process. So basically, as I said, that there's always a notion to have the latest security patches updated and also to be on the latest software versions. So because of this, there's always process where the existing servers could be down for some time. And in cloud, generally, the cloud team generally prefer using this rehydration, wherein the new servers would be spawned, which is already having all the latest versions, instead of updating the old servers. So because of this rehydration process, what really happens is the old servers where your current agents, maybe server is installed and running. So there's always a chance that, these will be decommissioned and a totally new servers with the latest versions will be coming up. And similarly, in AWS, we have these machine images, which is kind of a template, which generally what people do is they'll try to create machines from these images. So that is, again, chances of that whatever servers agent configurations are there, so they will be lost. So how do we support these kind of changes? So I'll be covering this also in the upcoming slides, and how companies handle these changes. Like every X months, there'll be some or other security patches. So what is our recommendations? So these are certain challenges that they have reported, and also other challenges are the basic thing. Always people have a doubt is whether they could get the same job throughput when running in cloud when compared to the on-prem. And does dSeries support some of these cloud databases? Will there be any more complexity in terms of security and like deployments or anything like that? So basically, what we generally say is there is nothing difference between running dSeries or agents in a cloud versus an on-prem. The only basic thing is make sure the network connectivity is proper, and especially the server, the agents, the server, and the DB. So there is no delays between the messages exchanged between these components. Rest, everything will be working fine. It's like we install a new dSeries server, a new set of agents on a completely new machine. just that these machines are hosted somewhere in the cloud. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, from throughput-wise or even scaling-wise, I think nothing really matters. And even if there are any IP address changes and everything, so even today, even on-prem, even if something gets changed, we already have the ways to get the latest host name and IP addresses. So, okay, so let's see how our existing customers who move to cloud successfully overcome these challenges. So first thing is about oil corporation company that we have worked with. They have moved to Azure cloud. So what they did is some of these questions or challenges they have asked. So as I was suggesting, right, we already have the high availability enabled. The disaster recovery process is enabled. So they came up with a architecture diagram, making sure they take into all these into considerations, having a separate disaster recovery model, having a server in a high availability mode. And this particular customer used even the servers, the agents, the desktop clients, the web services, the web clients, everything he has hosted in cloud. He has not put anything in on-prem. And slowly he has, like initial setup, he had around like 25 agents, like running around 50 applications per day. And slowly he has been adding more and more agents and more jobs into this. So once this is done, even during the initial setup, once he has made sure the connectivity is right and the firewalls are open for certain ports and make sure that the network traffic is it's good between these components, right? So he was able to see that, yeah, these things are like working fine without any issues. And once he got the confidence, he started, adding up more and more agents and applications into that. And till now, there has been no issues reported by this customer, even from the functionality wise or even from the performance or scaling perspective. So in this table, we just described he's using the latest the server 12.3 and also the web client, and this is a typical server specification that he has used. And the initial analysis, he also wanted to know like how much is the system specifications is going to be when they are moving to cloud. So as I said, it is nothing different. So whatever system requirements are documented currently for an on-prem, the same things are applicable for the cloud machines as well. Moving to the next one, so we work with this company. They moved everything to AWS actually. So this car rental company, so they also faced some of the challenges. Most importantly, this was the customer who talked about this rehydration, having downtime for almost very regular intervals of time because of the patching or moving to the latest levels. So we worked with them, and what we suggested is you can do the automatic deployments, and they came up with a process after listening to our ideas. So they came up with a process wherein at any given point of time, one server is always up and running, which is the high availability mode. And even if one of the EC2 instance on which the server is running is down, they have created a process wherein a new EC2 instance will be commissioned. And in that instance, a new dSeries server will be automatically installed, and that will be going as part of the existing high availability configuration and talking to the same database. So how did they get to this? So what we have given them is a simple setup files which we have for 12.3. So they made use of the silent installation file as we suggested, and they have come up with a way that they could automatically install a server on the fly without any manual intervention. They can install desktop client on the fly, they can install agents on the fly, and whenever they come to know that, yeah, one of the machine is going down, they are going to run these automatic deployments, which would enable them to get a new server within 5 minutes. And it is like part of the existing HA, and also any agent machine which is down is also going to come up with all the default configurations. So they made it so easy that now they are completely not bothered about any of the downtimes because of this patching or rehydration process. So even if their company spawns a new machine from AWS image or a totally new machine, so they already have in place all these things. So it just they start this process, and you have your server and agents and DCs ready. And these customers, they have been using for almost a few years now, and even they never faced any issues. And slowly what they did, the same process they started following for other components like web client and web services. So automatically they are deploying it, and now, as I said, they have been using it for years, and there has been no issues from this side. Yeah. So another important thing is generally we see customers, when they are moving into cloud, one of the requests that we get is, how do you support the databases in cloud, So we already certified some of the mostly used databases, and also what we suggested in cases where customers are preferring to move away from their existing databases. For example, we heard customers, who wanted to move away from Oracle and maybe point to Postgres in cloud, and also there are instances where they wanted to move away from MS SQL Server and maybe move to the Azure SQL in the cloud. So our suggestion was very simple. The existing migration script that we use, that can be used not only to migrate from one version to another, but even if you are in the same version and you want to change the database. So in that case also they can use it. This is already documented in our product documentation. So we have suggested, and customers have used it, and it was very easy for them to move away from, it's not only, it not only imports or exports the definitions, but also it transfers the history information and things like that. So it made it very easy for them to move away from existing on-prem databases to some of the databases in cloud. And coming to the architecture consideration, so as I said, one of the first things that our customers do is they come up with a diagram, like architecture diagram, taking into consideration all the solutions for the different challenges that they have encountered. So what we always recommend is always have the high availability mode for the dSeries servers, because you never know when one of your machine, on which the servers are running, are going to get decommissioned. So you make sure that at least it's in high availability mode, and also make sure the disaster recovery also is in place. So these are the two major suggestions that we give, and also we would definitely not suggest anything complicated. So even if they have a lot of tedious tasks, we always ask them to use the automated deployments mode, which I was talking about previously, right? The way automatically servers gets deployed, the way automatically agents, desktop clients, web services, and web clients get installed. So that is one suggestion. And also we requested them to monitor their memory consumption, or CPU monitor, just to see that it is not running out of space ahead, and maybe based on the requirement they could additionally add some disk space, or maybe add some RAM into the existing servers on the fly. So this is possible, and that's where our customers are continuously monitoring these things. And most important thing is this connectivity, as I said, right? Whether it is between the agent and server and DB and server and desktop, not only desktop clients, the different clients that we support. So make sure you use this direct connect, which is the recommended way. And even if there are any internal IP addresses, so you could use these internal IP addresses for better performance. So you can always make sure, instead of using the IP addresses, you can use the host name. So the host name could be the same, but maybe the underlying IP address would be changing. So even that is also fine. And also the storage, as I was saying, right? Always have a look at the storage disk space and dynamically keep adding these disk space. And coming to the general cloud best practices, we recommend customers to regularly take snapshots of the machine and also take regular backup of the existing artifacts. So even in worst case, even something happens, those machines are decommissioned or some downtime has to take place, right? And you could always have your latest artifacts backup ready. So generally I see customers, even whether they're non-prem or on a cloud, at least on a weekly basis, I would see that customers are, are taking a backup of these important artifacts. And whenever they have some maintenance window, probably they can do the changes and updates at that time. And automate as much as possible in terms of, provisioning, configuration, and management side. And also from the security side, also probably you could, change the defaults. Don't go with the default settings and security groups and the even the IAM rules. So just keep, changing your access keys and things like that. Yeah, with that, I will hand it over to Valerie. Thank you.
Thanks, Kiran. So Kiran has just taken us through some of the challenges, the architectural considerations, and the best practice suggestions. So now let's take a look at what moving to the cloud means from the perspective of managing your workload. In many companies, you're going to find that there will be people who believe that an enterprise workload automation solution like dSeries is for legacy processing only, and they don't see how dSeries plays a role in the future cloud strategy. Instead, they're trying to strategize around some of the new cloud-based alternatives, and there are a number of cloud-based automation solutions that are emerging. And this is where, you'll need to keep your eye on things. Let's take a look at the reasons why you're going to want to position dSeries as the orchestrator of orchestrators as you move forward. So one of the first things that will become evident is that, there are a number of cloud-based automation solutions emerging, and most of these new options will fall into one of two categories. The first being cloud-based applications that have been built with a built-in scheduling component. And the second category I'll put into what I'll call workflow orchestrators. Many of the built-in scheduling options are with cloud-based ETL solutions. Some of the more popular ones that you might be hearing about are, things like Databricks, Azure Data Factory, Data Fusion, or AWS Glue. Some of the cloud solutions available which are designed specifically to provide workflow automation capabilities might include things like Apache Airflow, Google Composer, or AWS Step Functions. Now, after you take a quick look, the first thing with any of these, the first thing that you will find in common with these options is the limited capabilities that they offer. If you Google the marketing literature or documentation for most any of them, you'll notice that they describe themselves as cron-based schedulers. And you folks in the automation space, you'll likely determine that years ago, your needs in your data center were much more demanding and sophisticated compared to what cron could offer. On the next slide, we will review the differences between cron-based solutions and enterprise solutions as just as a reminder of how wide this chasm can be. Adopting these alternate solutions will reintroduce the challenges of islands of automation, managing workflow processing from multiple tools and interfaces, a problem that, likely was tackled years ago by implementing an enterprise strength workload automation solution and not something that you want to, go back to again. And if you're relying on application-specific automation solutions, how do you go about bridging the gaps that will inevitably be present as you try to satisfy all the predecessor-successor requirements across the multiple environments and applications? Usually, this is where you'll have the application developer who likes to step in and start writing some kind of custom code to try and fill these gaps. And your company needs to step back and ask themselves if this is really how they want to spend resourcing by, creating and maintaining indefinitely, these custom solutions that provide what I'll refer to as the glue, across the enterprise. This actually reminds me of a few conversations I've had with customers on the topic of bridging requirements across multiple platforms. And surprisingly, they have been telling me how they're relying on, built-in time buffers to accommodate enterprise-wide predecessor. For example, they might be waiting on a file that comes from the mainframe before they can kick off a microservice. If this file is usually available by 2 a.m., they might add a 1-hour buffer and schedule the microservice for 3 a.m. And then, everything is good until suddenly it isn't. Inevitably, there will be an issue that, causes the file to not update in time, and the microservice kicks off anyway at 3 a.m. And now it's just processed the wrong data. So, there is a better alternative. So all of these cloud-based solutions do provide APIs for integration, and your best option moving forward is to use dSeries and let it integrate and manage all of these cloud-based workflows using the provided APIs. If you don't go with an enterprise solution providing this, orchestrator of orchestrators capability, you will likely encounter, multiple challenges that result in the end, you'll have increased number of errors, you're going to have increased resolution time, and also an increase in the amount of effort required to manage and to monitor on a daily basis. So on this slide, we can take a look at a number of capabilities and benefits that you gain by extending your enterprise solution across the cloud. Sometimes you might forget that some of these benefits, what they are, because, so many of them have been just standard features in dSeries for so long that they're just take it for granted. It isn't until a newly migrated application has been turned over to production, utilizing one of the cloud-based solutions that we were just speaking about on the previous slide, that you realize now that you no longer have these, what we call standard capabilities available to you. If you take a solution like Apache Airflow or Google Composer, just being able to do something as simple as putting part of a schedule on hold for a period of time is no longer simple, because now you're dealing with, what they refer to as DAGs for defining and managing your workflows. And these are, completely different from what you might be accustomed to. So what you'll find is that in some cases, managing workload might be more complicated to do, and then in other cases, it just might not even be possible to do the same type of thing with a new solution. Corporate calendaring is another of those features that is just a standard capability. Remember I talked about how these alternate solutions are cron-based only. The concept of corporate calendars just doesn't exist. I was working with a customer last year, and I was meeting with one of the application architects, and he wanted to know how he could export the calendars out of the enterprise automation solution so that they could use it in Airflow. And he was preparing to, write his own calendaring service and wanted to keep it in sync with the existing enterprise solution calendars. And, this seemed like a lot of work when all they really had to do was schedule their workflow DAG using the Apache Airflow integration that we have with our enterprise solution that dSeries can do. So I explained this to him, and then he could immediately see the value in what I was suggesting, and he could, as we continued to talk, he could see that, calendaring wasn't the only benefit that was to be gained by going with dSeries. And then what about audit, compliance, and governance with these cloud-based solutions? So far, it doesn't appear that much thought has been put into this area yet. In most cases, it looks like you have to, build your own solution, that will not be very easy, because how you do it will be slightly different across the various applications and platforms. Whereas with the existing dSeries solution, this is another one of those just out-of-the-box capabilities. You already have things implemented in a way that meets your company's corporate requirements when it comes to audit and compliance. And now all you need to do is move the scheduling of these cloud workloads under the control of your existing solution, and then you're all set. So, our strategy has been and continues to be to position dSeries to be the manager of managers or the orchestrator of orchestrators. And quite frankly, the strategy is no different than the strategy that we had 15 or 20 years ago. It's just that now the type of workloads and endpoints have changed. So let's take a look at what we've been doing to address this. So I'm hoping that most of you are aware of the fact that we have been creating what we call plugin extensions to extend the capabilities of dSeries beyond what you have been traditionally managing with the solution. And these plugin extensions are built upon existing capabilities that everybody has in the version that you're running today. We're using the application services plugin, which has been around for almost 20 years. And we are creating these additional modules that can sit on top of the application services plugin so that you can now extend the reach of dSeries to these other cloud-based applications. So we have a list here, and I'm running out of room here, so I've had to add the most recently delivered ones over here. So we, in addition to these that have been available, most of these, excuse me, have been available for probably the last year or so. But more recently, we've added the S3 plugin for AWS and IBM. We have a Kafka plugin. We have one for AWS Step Functions and also for Lambda. So if you have any of these applications in your environment and you haven't yet tested out any of the plugin extensions, they're really super easy to take advantage of. And all you need to do is open a ticket with support and ask for whichever one you're interested in, and we will send that to you. And then this is just a screenshot that just gives you an example of how seamlessly this cloud workload just fits into your existing dSeries. So you can see here in this example, this is a Kubernetes workflow that dSeries is managing. And over here you can see, we've got workflows for Airflow, we've got Kafka. So it's really a simple solution and a comprehensive capability where you can take dSeries, make it the orchestrator of orchestrators, and expand the capabilities so that you still have an end-to-end visual of what's going on with your business applications, regardless of whether those business applications are still running on-prem or whether they're running in the cloud, or more likely it's a combination of the two. Is that, you've got in any business application, you've still got some on-prem processing that's taking place as well as cloud processing. So just a reminder for those of you that may not be aware of it, we do have the Broadcom Software Academy, and this is the go-to place where we direct customers to get an idea of what we're working on. And we try to post videos out here of, kind of how-tos, little demos. We have many of the plugin extensions for dSeries. And because we're building these plugin extensions on top of the existing application services plugin, for those of you that are familiar with our architecture, these agents are shared amongst not just dSeries, but dSeries, our AutoSys solution, our ESP solution, and CA7. So if you see, for example, a demo out there for Databricks, and that's one that you're interested in, but it shows it with AutoSys, go ahead and watch the AutoSys one, because the the functionality, how it works is completely the same. It's the exact same software that you would install on the dSeries agent instead. So pay attention to the Software Academy, check back periodically to see if we've added anything new. And I think that Tony's going to be adding this recording of the session today out there for the Academy if you want to refer back to anything in the future. So now I want to turn it back over to Kiran, and Kiran is going to do a demo of the S3. That's one of the most recent ones that we did. He's going to show us how we can manage the S3 workload. That's the cloud storage using dSeries. So go ahead, Kiran.
Yeah, good morning. So today I'm going to show the demo of using the AWS S3 plugin extension. So let me briefly talk about what are plugin extensions and what are the artifacts that we give. So one major advantage of these plugin extensions are irrespective of whether you are using dSeries 11.3 to 12.x any version and the agents 11.3 to any versions. So these plugin extensions were supported and for the older releases as well, the latest releases. But now since the agent 11.3 and 11.4 are out of support now, and similarly dSeries 12.2 and above are currently supported. So irrespective of what agent release you are and what dSeries server release you are, you can make use of these plugin extensions. And another thing is if you're using multiple schedulers like dSeries and ESP, so these plugin extensions work with these multiple schedulers as well, as these are all common agents. So whether you are using dSeries, AutoSys, ESP, CS7, so all these plugin extensions work with these 4 schedulers. So let me quickly show you. So currently I'm running a 12.3 desktop client and dSeries server. Yeah, as you can see, it's a 12.3 desktop client server, and let me show you the agent that I'm using currently. So this is the latest 12.1 agent that I have installed in my box. And to run these plugin extensions, you should have the application services enabled. And then once you request for a plugin extension, generally we would give you a zip file. So that zip file would be something like this. And inside this zip file, you will have a couple of jars. So all you have to do is take these jars and place them in the jars ext folder over here. And you just need to restart the agent after this. So once you have this, then you can define the POJO job types. So the POJO job types can be used for running these any kind of cloud integrations. So apart from this, we will also give you a documentation which will talk about what are the functionalities that are exposed in this version of the plugin extension, and what are the parameters that are required to run these functions, and few examples also. So for example, let's say currently from the S3 side, we support operations like monitoring for a file creation, monitoring for a file updation, monitoring for a file generation, uploading a file from local machine to AWS S3 bucket, deleting the file in the bucket, copying from one bucket to another bucket, and also downloading is like downloading it from cloud to your local box. And also exist, which is like to check if file exists in the bucket. So this is how the documentation would look like, what all the parameters and everything. So let me quickly jump to the jobs that I have created. So generally what we see in organizations is that from the use case, if you talk about maybe there is some third-party software, third-party tools that kinds of generates a report that places them in the S3 bucket. And we want to monitor for that and try to start a business workflow whenever we find a file which is matching our criteria is placed in the S3 bucket. So based on that, we can download the file and probably you can input that file to some of the analytics platform, and so that you can get some business insights from this reports. So let me show you my S3 bucket. So I have created a bucket called Word report, and in that I have placed a file called readme.txt. So I am interested to see if a report exists, so I can monitor for that. So this is the class name, this is the method name, and these are the parameters that see the bucket name. It is saying Word report, and the file name is readme.txt. And I'm interested to see if this file exists, and subsequently download the report and then processing the report. So the download report, we have the download option functionality that is exposed. So let me quickly run this. Great. Oh, looks like the application got completed. Let me run this again, and let's see if it comes up in the active list now. Yeah, it has come up, and as you can see, the job is completed. So as part of this, you can go to the retrieve spool file, and you can look at the output that is generated by this plugin extension. And one important thing is recently the dSeries team has come up with the 12.3 latest patches. In that patches, they have enhanced the Poja job type to retrieve the spool file, and also to cancel the running Poja job type. So previous releases did not have this. Even the 12.3 GA will not have these options, but once you apply the latest patch, you should be having this capabilities. So that's the reason I'm using the latest patch. So I'm able to retrieve the spool file here on the Poja job type. And yeah, so this is how simple you could integrate it with any of the plugin extensions that we have discussed till now. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran.
Okay, so thank you, Valerie and Kiran, for presenting about dSeries and operating in the cloud. I hope you've all found it useful and see how dSeries can help you in your journey in the cloud. Thank you very much for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.